Alright, I want to make this video what I'm going to be talking about in the initial parts of this video for a couple of days now, but I've wanted to kind of let everything play out a little bit. I wanted to let both sides have a chance to say everything they were going to say so that all the information is really out there. And that way, when I tackle this subject from an American standpoint, people realize that, I mean, I honestly personally have no stake in this other than, obviously nobody wants to be lumped in with the term Nazi or racist or bigot, but that's something that I get called regularly. I think that's something that a lot of people are called on a regular basis. So, it doesn't bother me. But I wanted to make sure beforehand that I got a chance to do a little bit of digging. So the first thing I want to talk about is this article. All right. Neil Hamilton's UKIP supergroup, alt-right Led Zeppelin or white supremacist A-Team. An InfoWars starlet, a former Breitbarter, an anti-feminist vlogger, and a man who taught a dog to do a Nazi salute. No way. Have joined the disgraced politician in the far-right party. What's the worst that could happen? By Marina Hyde. I think it's important to note that this is done by The Guardian. So let's go ahead and dissect that juicy thing. I'm not going to go over this whole article because, the article's out there if you want to go read it for context. By all means, go for it. But this article is just, it's cancer. There's no point in dissecting the idiocy from point A to point B. But I do want to talk about this one first. The whole InfoWars starlet thing. I've only recently started following Paul Joseph Watson, but he's a pretty level-headed guy. Yeah, is he a little bit passionate about his views? Does he say them in a way that the left doesn't necessarily like? Sure. Does that invalidate his opinions? Does that make him crazy? And by tagging InfoWars on it, do you think that delegitimizes fact? This is why people are waking up to this tactic that you have. You take something that might be unscrupulous to the population at large, and then you attach it. You find that out about somebody, and you attach it to them, and you put it to the forefront so that anything that they say afterwards isn't legitimate. It's no longer an argument. It's no longer fact. Even if it is, even if it's statistics, it doesn't matter anymore because it's InfoWars or it's Breitbart. You can get as mad as you want about Breitbart, but they have a very substantial following. They're a very large online newspaper. Hate it all you want, dislike them all you want, but it doesn't take away from the work that they do and the things that they talk about, whether you think they're true or not. It doesn't take away from that. You can attach it all you want, but it doesn't mean anything to anybody anymore because this is what you do, and you're already starting your argument against these people with strawmans. You're attacking them on things that do not matter to the issue at hand. That being, apparently, the alt-right Led Zeppelin or white supremacist A-Team, joining UKIP. As for the Nazi salute thing with a dog, even Ricky Gervais has said, it's funny. It was hilarious. And the fact that you were so pathetic that you cheered somebody being arrested for something so dumb is absurd. Alright, so as a new supergroup, it came out of the blue, and blah, blah, blah. She reads the tweet. And then, obviously going straight into calling them Nazis, with you know, it's pathetic. and this is my favorite part. She answers her own. She almost answers her own question. And it feels like if she did a little bit more critical thinking, which I know it's really hard for these people, she would figure this out. Right here where she says, I suppose the sobering answer to that is not a lot because the year is 2018. It's literally the current year. And Neil Hamilton is still somehow in politics as a UKIP member of the Welsh Parliament. Well done, the Mid and West Wales region. Incredible that staying home and stapling your eyelids to the floor didn't seem a better way to pass the time than voting to give a salary to this bow-tied cheat who appears unable to say as much as got a low gear without his wife's hand up his jacksy. I don't understand all the Brit lingo yet, but whatever. Or whatever the fuck that's supposed to be. I don't know. I don't even really care. First of all, let's get down into the part where that should be telling you something. He's still in politics. Average people who don't work for the Guardian, who do average jobs, the middle class, are voting for him. And instead of attacking the issues that you think that could better serve these people to make them stop voting for the bow-tied cheat, as you called him, instead of doing that, you attack his bow tie. You don't attack his politics at all. Talking about stapling their eyelids to the floor. Oh, ha 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 ha. Ooh, you're witty and edgy. You're not. You're not. You're bad. This is awful. I see what you're trying to do, and it's fucking cringe. You're trying to be that witty, edgy counter to what you consider the alt-right, all the shitlords on the internet, all the meme lords, all the people that, genuinely aggravate you on a regular basis. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to be that counter, and it's not working because it's just coming across as vindictive, and not even vindictive against the right people. You're being vindictive against the average. You're basically saying that, oh, I'm sorry. You should just stay home and staple your eyelids to the floor because the things that concern you, the things that matter in your life, are unimportant. And you shouldn't vote for things that matter to you. This is why you guys are losing constantly. Because and people like the Guardian are becoming memes. Like your newspaper is a meme because you practice journalism. Whew. That was I almost had a puke in my mouth saying that you were a journalist. But I mean, obviously, as you go on, yeah. Still, I know what you're thinking. What's going on with the supergroup? And can you remind me who these pricks are? This is how bad it's gotten. Then instead of just saying, you know what, I'll just go look at these people myself and see what they have to say. We're gonna listen to some bimbo from the Guardian give us a rundown of who she thinks these people are, who's clearly never watched any of their videos and has only gone through hearsay, or who has started watching a video, immediately was offended, and took everything out of context because she wasn't even mature enough to finish a video from beginning to end. I stated this on Sargon's one of his tweets today. I don't agree with everything he says. I'm right leaning. But it's so the things that he stands for, the things that he believes in, the things that matter to him, a lot of his core principles are universal. It has nothing to do with party politics. I don't have to play party politics. He is somebody that I will ultimately say I will stand shoulder to shoulder with this man against people like you. Every time. And loads of people will. You're not realizing this. I'm gonna give Britain a warning now. All these lunatics, okay, you are pushing people into the arms of UKIP. I'm just going to give you the warning. I have no investment in this. But you're doing what happened with Trump and how America got Trump. And I'm not disappointed by that. I'm very happy with the result. But something tells me you won't be. You will not be happy with the result. The people are getting sick and tired of it. They want their voices to be heard, and they're going to have their voices heard one way or the other. And you can try to control the narrative, you can try pump, but what's going to end up happening is people are going to start turning off the television, and they're going to start watching Sargon. They're going to start watching Count Dankula. They're going to start watching Paul Joseph Watson. They're going to start watching Milo Yiannopoulos because they're sick and tired of just the constant man hate, the if you have any other opinion but mine on this issue, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're any type of phobic, any type of ism. It gets tiresome. It gets tiresome. And they end up saying, you know what, I just don't even give a shit. I guess I am all these things. And it's almost like this, like what the people that do acid when they hit ego death and they finally just, they don't give a fuck. And it's like, that's what you hit. You hit this point where you're just like, it doesn't matter. These, they're words. They're nonsensical. You know it's not true. You get sick and tired of debating it with people because it's like, why? Why do I care? Even if I am, at the end of the day, all these things you say I am, what matters about it? I'm an average citizen. I'm not a politician. What does it matter? Aye. Alright, prison, whatever, aka YouTube and InfoWars star Paul Joseph Watson, who makes pink-eyed videos in front of a map, acting for all the world as if he doesn't work for a man who claims the Sandy Hook massacre of children was a hoax. Then there's Milo, formerly of Breitbart, formerly of something called Milo Incorporated, now just sort of rolling compendium of mid-2000s hairstyles and old-world power-top jokes. I hope you can see where this is going. Because where this is going is none of this has to do with any of their politics because she's never watched a video. The Guardian just basically said, here you go, write something about these people. She probably spent all night out getting fucking pounded by some dude she met at a pub, didn't do her homework, and just wrote some fucking dumb article with a bunch of shit. She went through Twitter and read all of the fucking crazy far lefties fucking tweets and were like, yep, this must be fact. This is what I'm supposed to believe. Yeah, because the lefties on Twitter said so. I'm trendy. And next up is Sargon of Akkad, real name Benjamin, who is apparently some sort of anti-feminist YouTuber. I know, imagine you've opened a fantasy novel called it Lord of the Ring Pieces and are squinting at the map at the start. Aha, so that's where the forest of dank memes is in relation to the minds of... Jesus Christ. This is absurd. First of all, just the start of this, you openly show that you've done no research. You didn't watch any of their videos. And see, this is what the left doesn't do, and this is what drives me mad. I watch people that I do not agree with. I read articles I do not agree with, from newspapers and online, opinion pieces of things that I do not agree with. Because knowing the topic is the key to debating that topic. Knowing what the enemy thinks ultimately gives you the ammunition you need to combat it. Now me, I just open it up and think, read it, think about it for a little while, and then I just come with whatever's off the top of my head. Because it's more genuine that way, and I feel like it's the right thing to do. But, at least... I mean, you show right here where you say, some sort of anti-feminist YouTuber. He's not an anti-feminist YouTuber. I'm not even going to explain who he is for you. Anybody that wants to know who Sargon is and what he's about and the things that he believes in can go to his channel and watch some of his videos and gauge for themselves who they think he is. If they think that he is this monster that the Guardian, this chick from the Guardian claims he is, or not. So let's get to the part where she gets to Count Dankula. Finally, there's Count Dankula, the chap who recently had to go to court after he taught his girlfriend's pug to do a Nazi salute every time he said, "Gas the Jews." I'm not sure what their band name will be, but we'll give it a working title of One Erection. That's pathetic. You're pathetic. The fact that you are employed as a journalist is laughable. The Guardian has become the CNN of the United Kingdom. It's absurd. And you can tell that you know it's a joke. So because you leave out everything else about the whole thing that made Count Dankula, you act as if the gas the Jews thing and the Nazi salute is what made Count Dankula famous. And it's not. What made Count Dankula so famous was the free speech context surrounding that. The fact that he was arrested. He wasn't just sent to court. He was arrested. The police came to his house, removed him from his home, and put him in jail, and then took him to court and fined him, eventually fined him £800 for a joke. You're leaving out the whole free speech thing that was the rallying cry for this man to become as popular as he is. So it's, the fact that you leave that out and just put this part where he says gas juice and they teach him a Nazi salute, teaching his dog Nazi salute, is just so that you can paint him as a Nazi and you don't have to do your homework. You don't have to watch his videos and come up with your own argument, your own thought process on who he is or what he is. You can just regurgitate the shit that comes up in your garbage Twitter feed, and that's all you have to do. And enter UKIP, or rather the boys are entering UKIP, last seen rolling vegetatively in the local elections, having paid their £30 sub to have their way with it. As Paul put it recently, take over UKIP for the banter. How hard can it be? Hoping to get an answer soon from this week's UKIP leader, Gerard Batten. Unless he's too roofied to speak. Oh, good little rape joke you added in there. That's offensive. That's offensive. Oh, we better get this bitch fired because that's offensive. Let's go make a tweet and a hashtag campaign about it. Fucking hell. And then she goes on, she doesn't say anything. Read the article. She never goes into any of the policies, any of the things they believe in, because if you look at their videos, it's freedom of speech, freedom of expression. They want Brexit to happen because it was voted for. It's ridiculous. So off this subject, a couple of the other things I wanted to talk about right now is what's going on in the UK with this baby balloon thing that they've got going on between Sadiq Khan and Donald Trump. Put them both up. I honestly think it's hilarious that this is what Brits are going to spend their money on. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of problems in London. And I'll get into American problems here shortly. But London has enough problems. I feel like there are lots of other things that you could be dumping. Like the last time I looked, each one had over £30,000 donated to balloons. Baby balloons about politicians that you don't like. That goes for both sides of the equation. The Donald Trump balloon and the Sadiq Khan one. They're both astronomically stupid. I feel like there are a million other campaigns that you could be dumping money into that are going to benefit you and benefit the people of your city. And this is what, and I'm not here to tell you what to spend your money on. I'm just telling people that they need to start thinking. On both sides of the aisle, you need to start thinking a little more. Is it funny? Do I get a chuckle out of it at the end of the day? Yeah. The fact that we're going to have two politicians in the form of babies floating over London. Yeah, I got a chuckle out of it. I find it a little absurd though, and this is it's obviously how far politics has fallen worldwide, and I think that one of the important things that's going to need to be addressed in the future is just that, and as when you've got people like Antifa roaming the streets and throwing M80s into crowds, or you've got protesters rioting, I think that a deeper political conversation needs to be had than just sitting around calling people Nazis, fascists, bigots, homophobes, whatever. I mean, more needs to be. There's obviously a much deeper conversation that needs to be had. And the fact that instead of having that conversation, we're just like, who can raise enough money to make a baby balloon about the politician I don't like? And it's being celebrated. I mean, it's just absurd. On to more important things. We've got the Supreme Court nomination coming up, which I want to take a minute to gloat because I've been warning my liberal friends for months now that we're probably gonna get another Supreme Court nomination, and there's a very good possibility, especially if Trump wins a second term, that we're gonna get to nominate Ruth Bader Ginsburg's replacement as well. And these things are, I mean, they're great for me. I love them. But this is what you understand. These are the things that your side is missing out on because you can't have a conversation. You're pushing Americans to the fringe. We've got idiots, we've got fucking retards pouring sodas in kids' faces and assaulting kids at Whataburgers. We've got a Trump supporter being drugged 30 feet behind a car. You know, we've got that lunatic Nancy Pelosi and that absolute moron Maxine Waters, who shouldn't be in politics anymore, you know, essentially calling for the attack on Trump supporters. We've got record employment, you know, and Latinos are at record employment as well. The job market is booming. We've got, you know, the manufacturing sector especially added 36,000 in this month's jobs report out of the 235,000. Not exact. It's around 230 something thousand jobs that were added. 36,000 of which were manufacturing jobs. We're doing well. You know, we're collecting record taxes still, even though we had tax cuts. So when you then have the Democrats coming out and saying that this is exactly why Trump's a bad president, everybody is sitting there looking at you going, how are you getting something bad from that? You attack something with substance. Attack something with substance. It's absurd. We are winning. We are, and it's making the red wave in November look that much more like a reality. So, anyways, if you liked the video, I hope you will subscribe. I am going to try to start doing this on a more regular basis. I do want to start talking about events going on in the world. We've got a lot of, like, the centrists and stuff like that on YouTube that are becoming real big. I would like to have a channel out there as a more open-minded conservative that's willing to have the discussions, that's willing to budge on points and formulate different opinions and have the conversation from a right-wing standpoint. That's not a far-right standpoint. Obviously, I'll be called a Nazi and a racist before this video even gets put up. I was called a transphobe for making a joke on Sargon's Twitter. So, whatever. But I do hope that if you do like it, you'll like the video and subscribe so that, you know, this is something I can do on a more regular basis. Thank you.